The concept of the devil wanting to keep Christians poor is a notion that is being debated and explored in various Christian circles. While it may seem like a far-fetched idea, it is rooted in biblical principles and the understanding of the enemy's tactics. The devil, also known as Satan, is described in the Bible as a being who seeks to steal, kill, and destroy. John 10:10. One of the ways he achieves this is by keeping Christians in a state of financial bondage, thereby limiting their ability to fulfill their God-given purpose and live a life of abundance. The Bible teaches that God wants his children to prosper and live a life of abundance, not just spiritually, but also financially. 3 John 1:2, Psalm 35:1-7. However, the devil has a contrasting plan, which is to keep Christians in a state of poverty and lack. He achieves this by deceiving them into believing that poverty is a virtuous state, or that wealth is evil. This deception is rooted in the understanding that if Christians are financially unstable, they will be more focused on their financial struggles than on their spiritual growth and mission. Moreover, when Christians are poor, they are more likely to be distracted by their financial struggles, which can lead to anxiety, stress, and a lack of faith. The devil knows that a Christian who is struggling financially is more likely to doubt God's provision and goodness, which can lead to a weakened faith and a diminished ability to fulfill their purpose. On the other hand, a Christian who is financially stable is more likely to have the resources and freedom to pursue their passions and fulfill their God-given purpose. The devil also uses the tactic of comparison to keep Christians poor. He convinces them that they will never be able to achieve financial stability or that they are not worthy of wealth. This comparison can lead to feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, and a lack of confidence, which can be debilitating and prevent Christians from pursuing their financial goals. Furthermore, the devil uses the media and societal norms to perpetuate the idea that wealth is only for a select few, and that Christians should be content with living in poverty. In addition, the devil uses the tactic of fear to keep Christians poor. He convinces them that if they seek wealth, they will be greedy, materialistic, or worldly. This fear can prevent Christians from pursuing financial stability, and instead, they may settle for a life of poverty and lack. However, the Bible teaches that wealth is not inherently evil, but rather, it is the love of money that is the root of all kinds of evil. 1 Timothy 6:10. When Christians understand this principle, they can pursue financial stability without fear of being worldly or materialistic. To break free from the devil's plan, Christians must understand the biblical principles of wealth and prosperity. They must recognize that God wants them to prosper and live a life of abundance, and that wealth is not evil, but rather a tool to be used for God's glory. Christians must also develop a healthy relationship with money, recognizing that it is a tool to be used for good rather than an end in itself. By applying biblical principles of stewardship, generosity, and financial discipline, Christians can break free from the devil's plan and live a life of financial freedom and abundance. In conclusion, the devil wants to keep Christians poor because it limits their ability to fulfill their God-given purpose and live a life of abundance. He achieves this by deceiving them into believing that poverty is virtuous, using comparison and fear to prevent them from pursuing financial stability. However, when Christians understand the biblical principles of wealth and prosperity, they can break free from the devil's plan and live a life of financial freedom and abundance. By recognizing that God wants them to prosper and applying biblical principles of stewardship and financial discipline, Christians can overcome the devil's tactics and live a life that is financially stable, spiritually strong, and fulfilling.